Welcome to worship in the Unitarian Universalist Church of Charlotte. Let's begin with one really deep breath and a long sighing exhale. You made it. Through this frenetic season and to this night, and now you've made it here to this room through the bitter, biting cold of a Carolina evening when temperatures will plummet well below 50 degrees. Oh, what a hardy lot you are. Tonight is our gift to you. A time set aside not for belief, but for beauty. Not to review doctrine, but to rekindle wonder. So come with faith, doubt, questions, memories. Come as you are, knowing that you are welcomed here, no matter the depth of your faith or the breadth of your skepticism. Come alongside those who know this place as their spiritual home. Come alongside those who have returned here again after a time away. Come alongside those who join friends or family members here. And come alongside some who may have wandered in here, still not quite sure why. Welcome to all. As we should on this occasion, we begin by singing a lot. As we prepare to do so, turn and greet those around you with a warm welcome.
We light this chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, honoring the beauty of ancient light streaming from distant stars, inviting us tonight and every night to be still for a moment, to gaze back in wonder.
There are a couple of things I especially love about this night. One is, for the only time in the whole year, I get to actually pretend like I'm a member of this choir. So when you hear this glorious sound that's coming from up here, part of that's me, just so you'll know. The other thing I love about tonight is us being able to turn to each other and say, who are these people? We have so many visitors with us here tonight, and I'm delighted that you are here. This is your first time ever in a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Would you raise your hand? Wonderful. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for being with us. If you are here with family invited you here, but you're a visitor, would you raise your hand? How wonderful. Welcome. Glad you're here. At our 3 and 5 o'clock services, we always have a contest to see who has come from the greatest distance to get here. And because at 5 o'clock there was someone here from Hanover, Germany, we're not going to ask that question because we think we may already have a winner. But whatever got you in this room, for whatever reason you are here, member, visitor alike, thank you for sharing a part of this time with us. If you are a visitor and you'd like to know more about the life of this congregation, there are a few items in the back of your printed order that will tell you about some of the other things going on here, including a potluck meal tomorrow. You can also visit our website or view our electronic newsletter, Currents, to find out about the full life of this congregation. Again, to each of you, a very warm welcome.
Our reading this evening is from Luke in the Christian Scriptures, chapter 2, verses 1 through 20. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea in the city of David, called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. Joseph went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn child, whom she wrapped in bands of cloth and laid in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of God stood before them, and the glory of God shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those with whom God is pleased." When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which God has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them.
around 375 million years ago, some slimy forebear of ours propelled herself forward on awkward appendages and slithered up out of the sea. Having achieved this amphibian feat, after just a few more rounds of natural selection, we'd find ourselves scanning Sirius radio, eating a bagel, talking on the phone, hearing GPS directions, and driving all at the same time. What propelled our fishy forebear to venture forth? What primordial impulse was at play, prompting her to take a walk on this wild side? Could it be that we've evolved over hundreds of millions of years just so we'd be able to watch YouTube and Netflix videos, 24-hour news channels, and tall people in tank tops play with a ball? Did the grand force of life launch us forth simply so we could continue on an evolutionary advance from email to Facebook to Instagram to Snapchat to WhatsApp to whatever's next? Was this remarkable development simply so we could master the concocted production of an ultimate burger? Or brew rose hip and hibiscus kombucha? Why are we humans here? Carl Sagan offers an inspiring response. The late scientist, in his masterpiece Cosmos, acclaims our developing understanding of the larger order of things. In the last few millennia, he writes, we have made the most astonishing and unexpected discoveries about the cosmos and our place in it. With that, Sagan then declares, these discoveries remind us that humans have evolved to wonder. Humans have evolved to wonder. Not to struggle or fight, not to work or earn, not to be entertained or anesthetized, not to procure and consume. Our whole eons-long evolution has positioned us to wonder. As Alice Walker has it in the vernacular of the color purple, I think us here to wonder. Is there any other being with the capacity to feel awe? Is there another being who can experience a sense of deep mystery? Which of our other fellow creatures has recognized that, in fact, every snowflake is different? Wonder is the motivation behind so many of the deepest ways we humans encounter and engage with life. Philosophy, said Alfred North Whitehead, begins with wonder. Poetry began, according to Lucille Clifton, when somebody walked off a savanna or out of a cave and looked up at the sky with wonder. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious, opined Einstein famously, and then went on to declare that the one who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead. And, of course, wonder gives rise to art and architecture and literature and music and dance and most certainly love. What else is shared so completely by devout theists and resolved atheists? A snarling skeptic like Richard Dawkins, who calls awed wonder one of the things that makes life worth living. And an ecstatic Muslim like Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi, who names awe the salve that will heal our eyes. When we each think of those rarefied moments in the course of our lives when we have felt most alive, most deeply engaged, most of who we were meant to be, aren't they always moments of wonder? After such longing and then such heartbreak, no single moment in my life tops the one when a nurse first handed me our red-faced, squalling little newborn baby, who's never stopped being a source of wonder to me. Our kid's here in part because high atop a bluff in the Marin Headlands, looking out at the sun setting into the Pacific, a beautiful woman who still takes my breath away said yes to my hopes that we'd spend the rest of our lives together. And when, in my favorite moments of this entire past summer, the three of us stood in complete, utter darkness and looked up at an August sky milky with stars and streaked with the spectacle of the Perseid meteor shower, I'm not sure that a host of angelic choristers would have made that particular evening all that more wonder-filled. One of the many regrettably unsingable songs in our gray hymnal begins with the lyric from Arthur Knowles, "Knowledge," they say, "drives wonder from the world." Years of theological, biblical, linguistic study renders Luke's story, the one Eve read just a few moments ago, a very different kind of tale for me. I now know what I didn't know when I heard that story as a child in the warm and safe embrace of an evangelical church. I know it was never intended to be a historic account, a recording of actual occurrences. I know only 2 of the 4 canonical gospelers even attempted a birth story for Jesus, and they vary so widely as to be factually incompatible. I know that for the first few centuries, the Christian church paid absolutely no attention at all to Jesus' birth. And that once the church decided it might matter, it grafted the observance onto other celebrations, the Jewish Festival of Lights, the Roman occasion of Saturnalia, the pagan attention to Yule, in its own kind of evolutionary alteration. I know so many unsettled questions about the life and death of the Rabbi Jesus, and know that we have very little historic certainty about any of it. For some, such knowledge depletes this story and this occasion of all of its wonder. If an angel choir didn't really serenade shepherds, and if these herdsmen didn't really go to some stable to adore some newborn Messiah, then some dismissively ask, what's the big deal? And why in the world do we here still give it our attention? Here's my response. We continue to gather on this evening, continue to tell this tale, continue to see it depicted, continue to sing these songs, because for many of us, knowledge may drive strict literalist claims from the world, but it does not erase wonder. Some of us, most of us here, I'd contend, align with that great scholar of world religions, Houston Smith, who declared, "The larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder." Number me among those who've long stopped confusing belief and wonder. I don't need to believe in order to wonder. In fact, belief doesn't really have anything to do with it for me. I continue to be surprised at how many participants in progressive religion still accept the conservative claim that religion is rooted in belief. Why, I wonder, when we've rejected so much else from traditional religion, have we held on to this dubious assertion? Religion is not rooted in belief. The root of religion, explained Rabbi Joshua Heschel, the root of religion is the question, what to do with the feeling for the mystery of living, what to do with awe, wonder, and amazement. Religion has to do with, as Einstein had it, the most beautiful things we can experience: mystery, wonder, awe. So we sing and see and say again on this night, not to foster some belief, but as a way to keep rekindling our capacity for wonder. In a time when our souls strain and waver under the weight of so much that is so difficult, so discouraging, so infuriating, so overwhelming, we pilgrim this way in the hopes of seeing again some glimpse and hearing again some strain that will transport us, if only for these moments, from the mundane into the sublime. We come together to remember what it really means to be fully alive. On a night when some gather in families that are strained by division, when some feel only the deep ache of longing for those they miss, especially in this season, when some face difficult diagnoses and challenging days ahead, when some carry the crushing burden of addiction or depression, we yet come again in hope, watching and listening in wonder. Through the course of millions of years, we have evolved to wonder. That's the core message of all religions. That's at the very heart of our religious message. Wonder guides us ever further into the spiritual depths. And whenever and however we may discover some deep spiritual meaning, we will find it is always filled with wonder. While some in faith still believe that there really was a multitude of the heavenly host praising God and pointing the way to a newborn king, others of us heed the insight of that earthbound transcendentalist, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who asserted, "The invariable mark of wisdom is to see the miraculous in the common, in the here and in the now." This old year fast passing away is marked by a profound sadness for me. Just days into what was then a new year, my dad tearfully conceded that the time had come to move my mom into a memory care unit. He mourned his awareness that after more than 6 decades together, They would live out their final years apart from one another. I made the sad journey to join my sister and my dad in moving my confused and unwilling mom into a small room with a narrow twin bed. Finally, walking away, the door to that unit locking behind us, we made our way back to their, now his, apartment, where my sister and I divided a few remaining items that belonged to my mom. On a table against a large window in their, now his, bedroom, there were several of my mom's plants, the products of years and years of her loving care. "Please take one," my dad insisted. Somewhat reluctantly, I retrieved a ragged-looking specimen, a scraggly, imbalanced plant he identified as a Christmas cactus. I brought it home, placed it on our breakfast table, and this fall moved it into our new home, placing it temporarily on our kitchen counter where, with all else that we were doing, it got overlooked for a few weeks. Just days ago, I saw it. A remarkable spectacle. There, at the end of most of its droopy green shoots, were tight pink bulbs, seemingly emerging out of nowhere. That sight, that tender, poignant sight, moved me to tears. Here was my mom's plant in our new home, and it was blossoming. Life going on in wonder-filled beauty. We're not likely to hear any real angels tonight, or receive any summons to hasten to meet an infant who will overthrow the current order of things as much as some of us might welcome such an insurrection. But if we watch, and if we listen, open our hearts, open our souls, we may still encounter something wonder-filled in, as Emerson would have it, in the common. It's the most beautiful thing that we can experience. And it is, after all, why we humans are here.
Here, we join our lives in community to create something more than we could alone. Remembering that a more just world is possible when we dedicate ourselves to the greater good with compassion and tenacity. It's an act of gratitude for this community of faith, from the warmth in our hearts kindled by the joys of this season. We give what gifts we can to nourish the life of this congregation and the vision of hope that guides us. We will now both give and receive our offering.
Some of you know the Dodge Poetry Festival is the premier gathering of poets in this country. Because of a generous gift from this congregation, I was able to attend the festival last year. And one of the poets who I most enjoyed getting to hear both read and talk about his craft is the Chicano poet Alberto Rios. Rios tells the truth about our times with unflinching candor, and yet somehow finds a way to craft it into words so filled with beauty. I invite you to quiet yourself, to breathe a bit deeper, to close your eyes, and to listen to these words from Alberto Rios. We are of a tribe. We plant seeds in the ground and dreams in the sky, hoping that someday the roots of one will meet the upstretched limbs of the other. It has not happened yet. We share the sky, all of us, the whole world. Together we are a tribe of eyes that look upward, even as we stand on uncertain ground. The earth beneath us moves quiet and wild, its boundaries shifting, its muscles wavering. The dream of sky is indifferent to all this, impervious to borders, fences, reservations. The sky is our common home, the place we all live. There we are in the world together. The dream of sky requires no passport. Blue will not be fenced. Blue will not be a crime. Look up. Stay a while. Let your breathing slow. Know that you always have a home here. Yet again from Maya Angelou. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and we speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other, then into ourselves, and we say without shyness or apology or hesitation, peace. My siblings. Peace. My siblings. Peace. My soul. Merry Christmas.